Welcome back, fam, to another episode of the Will Carr Speaks podcast. I just got done having an absolute gem of a conversation with my new friend, Anastasiia Tumanova, talking about some things that are really near and dear to my heart. These topics aren't ones that I talk about often. I am not the type of speaker who dives into these things on a regular basis, but these tools and these practices are things that I have used personally to be able to improve my life, to heal myself from insecurities, from fears, from traumas, from self-doubt, to really be able to come into the place that I'm at today where I am just living my life, experiencing my journey, doing things that I love and fill me with passion every day. So with that said, this is going to be an absolute amazing conversation for you guys to listen to. To just give a quick description on who Anastasiia is, Anastasiia grew up in Russia and had some childhood experiences that really led her down a path that she had some healing to do from herself. And as she ended up traveling to Colombia as a young woman, she found herself living in the jungle, living with these ancient practices of facilitators who would lead plant medicine ceremonies. And this started a transformation in her life, which ultimately led her to become a breathwork teacher, a Kundalini and energy work facilitator. And now she leads workshops where she teaches others how to lead these breathwork practices as well. So with that said, I am super excited for you guys to give this show a listen. And I know it's going to be something that's going to be very meaningful and impactful for you. So with that said, enjoy the show. I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up. Welcome to the Will Carr Speaks podcast. I'm excited to have you all here today. I have a very special guest and a new friend, Anastasiia from Toronto, Canada. She is a breathwork teacher, Kundalini and energy facilitator, and also hosts plant medicine ceremonies. So we're going to have a lot to get into today, and excited to chat with you. How's your day going?
Thank you so much for having me. Nice meeting you. And yeah, my day is going very well. It's been an interesting journey since my Instagram started growing. I started receiving more and more invitations to this kind of experiences. And this is my first podcast ever. So thank you for having me here. It's so exciting.
Well, let's just dive right in. I want to first get into some of the like breath work and energy work and stuff you do, but can you just so you have an academy where you actually teach people how to be breath work facilitators themselves. Do you want to dive in and talk about that a little to get started?
Sure. Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
So when people ask me where I learned breathwork, I always reply that it's not something I learned from one person. And I would say even the technique itself, it's very easy to learn to breathe through the mouth in and out. But I would say the biggest thing that I've learned is how to hold healing spaces for others. Because I don't teach pranayama breathwork. I teach alone journeys where people experience a profound healing and transformation. And when people ask me how did I learn it, it's always a little difficult for me to reply because it's about, 100 ayahuasca ceremonies that I've experienced. It's about living in the ashram. I didn't count, but more or less I lived with shamans in the jungle in Colombia when I was actually trying to get my Canadian documents, and my visa was denied 2 times. So I spent a whole COVID in the forest, living by myself with Colombian people, learning Spanish, sitting with the medicine, healing a lot of things, learning guitar, learning how to sing. It was just a whole new Anastasia that was opening up. And I was learning a lot from those people who are living in the land, who are learning from nature, who are holding space for other people through these tools that are growing from the earth, right? Like the ayahuasca plant and other plants, not only psychedelic plants, but tobacco, coca, those beautiful plants that are teachers. So coming back to the breath work, I think breath work is a tool that is very accessible to everybody. I would say it's your own medicine. You're carrying it. It's free. It's inside of you. Every person can breathe, right? And there's different breath work that you can use. There's some that calm in your mind. There's some that calm in your anxiety, or some that help you to sleep better. Some that helps you maybe to be more activated, to raise your energy levels. But the one I'm teaching is more about diving into the subconscious mind. During these sessions, I would say the mind shuts down a little bit and the body starts showing where the suppression is happening in the body. Because if we're talking about emotions, and I believe that emotions is just an energy in motion, so it's something that needs to move constantly. And through this kind of breathing that I'm guiding, that's where that's how release is happening. I guide a specific breathing practice where the energy starts moving in a way. I would say the energy starts moving and finding the places where the energy is suppressed. That's at that point the person can feel a sensation or an emotion, or suddenly the person can start crying or screaming or laughing, or the opposite, experiencing pleasure or joy. Because we're not just suppressing negative stuff, we are also suppressing love, compassion, pleasure, joy, right? So this is kind of work I do. I work with the body, I work with the nervous system through breath work, through energy healing, through nervous system regulation tools, and plant medicines for those who are ready for that.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced, a few ayahuasca journeys myself, and I've done several breath work sessions, with local practitioners here in Colorado. And so I'm interested to hear from you, like, because I would even say one of the most psychedelic experiences I've ever had was just through breath. And it was just through breathing and like some different techniques of like squeezing my body in certain ways. Like I haven't done it a lot, so I'm definitely not an expert in this by any means. But what do you like? Do you see much difference between breathwork ceremonies versus plant ceremonies? Or we almost get to the same place through both?
I would say the plant medicines is not mandatory to experience. But what I found for myself, and I healed so much with plant medicine, if you have any other questions about it, I can definitely share more. But what I see is that I will speak from my experience. I've done so many ayahuasca ceremonies, and I believe that I could come to the point where I am right now, where I healed an eating disorder and alcohol addiction. I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, I don't take any stimulants, right? I am in a very good place. I don't have insomnia anymore. I don't have anxiety anymore. There's so many things that was healed. I believe that I can do that without ayahuasca. I believe that the human being can do that without ayahuasca. It's just for me, I feel it would take me another 8 years.
Yeah.
Like I feel that number is coming to me, like 8 years more it would take me to come to that place. So I feel like plant medicines are this, I would say, a little push that
They
makes the
speed up
whole
the
thing
process.
faster. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you definitely can achieve this without taking any substances. And that's what I'm doing with people. I'm training them or teaching them or holding space for them using breath and energy healing. And a lot of people experiencing this shared with me that it was more powerful than ayahuasca or as powerful as ayahuasca. So especially for those people who are not ready for ayahuasca, breathwork is the best. And also breathwork is something you can actually explain. There's nothing you're taking in, right? It's your own healing medicine. It's your own medicine that you have, that you're carrying inside of yourself. So that is very accessible.
It's very cool. Like the ability for us to heal ourselves is really just miraculous. I mean, just a gift from God that we have this available. And it's really cool seeing people learn more about it, and people like yourself getting to a point where you're teaching so many people and opening these doors for others. I'd love to talk a little bit about your journey getting to, because you just said during COVID and you were living in the jungle for, and that's when you experienced all these, I would love to talk a little bit about your journey, because excuse me, I know that you're from Russia. And so, you're talking about these, anxiety and some addictions and things that you had. What was the journey that led you to move to the jungle in Colombia and start being involved in these plant medicine ceremonies?
Thank you for the question. I always say that I came to all of this through my own pain. I was growing up in a very abusive family. My dad was very violent, and I was just witnessing a lot of that. And growing up, I went into addictions in a very early age. Since 12, I started drinking a lot, smoking, and just doing drugs recreationally. Not at 12, but maybe like 17. That's where I started. And when I was 22, I got an eating disorder, and I gained 33 pounds within like 2 months. And it was very painful for me because at that point I was working as an actress, as a model, and I lost all of my contracts with different countries that I had because I was overweight. I had acne all over my face and I just couldn't work. So I lost the money, I lost my car. There was another situation that happened, and I just felt lost in general. I felt I couldn't sleep properly. I had insomnia, I had anxiety, I had like constipations for 4 to 5 days. Sorry
Wow.
for the details, but it was
Yeah,
like
no.
intense on the physical body, on the
Yeah.
emotional body. And I went to different like psychologists, hypnotherapists, maybe at that point, or I didn't meet a right people. I don't say therapy is bad, but at that point, nobody could help me with what I was having. And I started just drinking even more and smoking even more. That pain, I would say I was in the bottom of of everything. I felt unbearably and just I felt a lot of pain, physically, emotionally, and I couldn't live like that anymore. I really wanted to change. And that's where I started being more curious. What is meditation? What is
Mm,
that thing you need to follow your breath and sit with
mm,
yourself? And then what is this breathing? What is this yoga? That was the first steps. And then once I went to travel to Bali and I met my future husband there. Now it's already an ex-husband. Yeah, and he shared with me about how ayahuasca changed his life. And at that point, it was the first time I've heard about it, but I felt that immediate calling that I want to experience this medicine since I've tried so many things and nothing really helped me. I still had a lot of eating disorder and a lot of compulsive overeating and just feeling shame afterwards and guilt and then punishing myself and then going into these cycles of overeating and then putting myself on the diets and then overeating again, stuff like that. So when he shared that, I felt the deep calling to sit with that medicine. I didn't have any fear. I was just like, okay, I'm going to Colombia. And that's how I ended up in Colombia. It was 7 years ago in June. I had my first retreat. We had 4 or 5 ceremonies, and the first 5 ceremonies, I didn't feel much. And I thought, okay, this is another thing that didn't help me. And only afterwards, I realized that there were a lot of teachings actually that I just didn't notice and didn't pay attention towards and didn't make sense of. And on the 6th ceremony, I connected, and it was almost like I watched a movie of myself. I watched a whole movie of my life from the third party. And I saw how I was behaving, how I was treating my my friends, my brother, how I was speaking about people, how I was putting people down. It was such a, um, how to say, humbling experience for me. Very humbling experience. I was just
yeah.
like on my knees crying and asking for forgiveness to all these people, to all these animals, like all these beings that I hurt. And ayahuasca showed me all of that. And that's where I would say my healing started, like that deep healing and transformation started.
Yeah.
And probably closer to the end of that year, I was participating in another retreat where I received my first breathwork session. This blew my mind. Honestly, it was 20 or 30 minutes of breathwork. I cried, I screamed. I remember my father doing this and that. I remember my mom suffering. I remembered so many things that I didn't even know I was carrying. I was just releasing so much. And at some point, I didn't even know why I'm exactly crying, why I'm exactly grieving. So when I came out of that 25-minute session, I had to help myself to close my jaw because it felt just unbelievable what can happen just through breath.
Yeah.
And that was the moment when I'm like, okay, I want to know more about it. And I started just doing a lot of breath work every day, trying different practices from different teachers on the different languages. And I just posted about it on my social media. And I was posting about more of like, this did just happen. I was breathing, this happened. I saw my dad, I cried it out, blah, blah. And then people just started reaching out like, what is that you're doing? Can you guide me through that?
Yeah.
And at some point, I'm like, yes, I I want to become a facilitator because that's something that really helped me. Because one thing is to come on the ayahuasca ceremony and experience a deep transformation. And another thing is to have a tool that is daily can help you, right? Sustain you in a good, I would say, I call it like an emotional hygiene, right? So you're constantly doing the work, you're constantly cleansing your emotional body, like you're going to the shower, you're cleansing your physical body. It's the same here. And that's
It's like
how
brushing your
I
teeth
end up,
every day.
exactly. And that's how I end up teaching breathwork.
Wow. So
And
what? So
then teaching trainers, like teaching
yeah.
facilitators. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get to Colombia, you do your first 5 or so sessions, and then on your sixth one, you have this profound experience. And I guess, is that what made you just want to stay? Because like you said, you were there for 200. Like you just decided, I'm going to stay and do this
Actually,
until I've got all the answers. Like,
actually, it wasn't planned that I'm going to stay. As I said
okay.
before, I met my ex-husband and we connected very well. And he invited me. He was living in Canada and I couldn't get with my Russian passport. I couldn't enter Canada and my visa was denied for the first time. And then the second time we came up with this idea that I live for some time in Colombia and I work in an official job. So when I apply, actually Canada can see that I'm good to get a visa. And I'm not going to immigrate hiddenly. And that's why I came to Colombia and I was planning to stay there for 4 months. And as soon as I entered, 3 days later, they closed the borders because the COVID started. And
Man,
that's how I
what
end up
timing.
living there. Yeah. And then the shaman from the community where we were sitting with the medicine invited us to come to the land, which is like beautiful forest in the mountains. There's no cars, there's no roads. So we made these documents because in Colombia, you couldn't even leave the house. It was like super strict with everything. So we made these documents that we are working and we need to go from one city to another city. And we just packed the car and we lived there
Wow.
for a few months. And then when they opened up the borders, my ex-husband, he flew to Canada to work. And I stayed another 4 months by myself in the jungle, literally learning from the shamans, carrying wood, building the maloca. Maloca is this ayahuasca temple where the ceremonies
Mm,
are being held.
mhm.
And literally like carrying stones, washing them, mixing cement, building things, learning how to make a fire, carrying wood, like so many beautiful things. And also living without internet. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't really go online and I had to go to the mountains, up to the mountains. And I put my phone on the tree and I sit down with the umbrella. And
Yeah.
that's how I had my Spanish lessons. Because in the community, nobody spoke English. So I had to learn Spanish also to communicate with
Yeah.
them. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And now I'm like, oh, thanks God they denied my visa because if they wouldn't, I wouldn't have that experience.
Yeah. Talk about that
Yeah.
for a little bit, because no one has to sit without internet. Like that's something that we take so for granted. Like I remember I was like maybe 2 years ago, I lost my phone and the insurance, like that I was supposed to get a new phone, right? And they had like somehow got messed up. Something didn't get filed. And I spent 4 weeks without a phone. And that was one of the most wonderful experiences I've ever had. Like I had to figure out if like any work that I had to do, like I had to figure out how to do it with my computer. But to not have, our device just attached to us at all times, that in itself is a meditation in itself. That's almost more powerful than any plant medicine.
I would say if somebody takes my phone right now, I'm gonna freak out
Yeah.
because because I have so many responsibilities and my schedule is packed with calls and clients and everything. But at that point, I had no job. I had no I had no responsibilities really. I could disconnect completely. Right now, I cannot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. But this is what it is. But at that point, I was completely fine. Like I was just having some calls if I need to go to the mountains, take with that umbrella. And once a week, I
Well,
had my Spanish lessons. And that's it. I was learning guitar with the community. We were cooking on the fire. I was
so
sleeping,
amazing.
I would say almost like under the stars. Wonderful. Also very humbling experience, actually.
Yeah. So what was the point of what was the point of the umbrella? What did the umbrella do
From
to
the sun. It was too hot.
It would shade you from the
Yeah,
sun.
of course.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
sitting
That
a
makes
whole
sense.
hour in a laptop without the shade, it's real intense in Colombia. Some places
Yeah.
are very hot.
No, that makes sense. I was thinking you were like using it to somehow it was like getting you service. Like,
No,
I don't
my
know.
phone was on the tree, was getting me a service, and then
Yeah.
I passed the internet to my laptop. Because if I would just take my phone here, it wouldn't work. It needs to be
Yeah.
up the sky. Then the connection is more or less stable, like
Yeah.
data just from some G something nearby.
Yeah. Well, let's talk to me a little bit more about your ayahuasca experiences. Like, tell me some of the like most memorable journeys that you've had while on ayahuasca. I'm sure that's like a loaded question because there's so many you could share, but maybe just pick a few.
Okay. Ayahuasca is always giving what you need, and sometimes it's not what you want.
Yes.
For first, I would say year until I felt I healed the eating disorder. That was my intention. I was coming, and every ceremony I was praying, healing the eating disorder, because that was the most painful part of my life. And I've never ever seen anything about food. So ayahuasca never taught me anything about food, like, look, you're overeating because of this. No. All my experiences were about my family. For example, when my parents got divorced, I remember at that point, I was 13. I was like, oh, thanks God. And I told my friends, okay, my parents are getting divorced, it's good. But on the ayahuasca, I started feeling the pain that I didn't allow myself to feel.
Mm.
Oh my God, I was screaming and
Yeah.
crying. And at that point, I realized that everything that our brain and our body cannot process in the moment, any emotions, any memories, any intensity, we just store it in the body. The
Yeah.
brain shuts it down and it stores in the body. That's what I work actually through breath work with. Like, that's the main thing. So I've seen a beautiful healing processes regarding my dad, because I think that was the most painful part. My dad was violent, like physically a lot, with my mother and on my eyes. And I was just seeing all of that, and I was grieving a lot. I felt the pain of my mom. I felt the pain of all the ancestors from my mom's side, because that abuse from masculine, all generations experienced that. So I could feel all their pain. I was releasing that. I felt I'm breaking the cycle. Another moment I felt that this, I don't know if that word exists in English, egregor. No, it's like sometimes we call it. It's like an entity of something. For example, we
Oh,
have alcohol. People who drink alcohol, it's like almost an entity of alcoholism, right?
yeah.
So I
That's why
felt
we
that
call it a
releasing
spirit.
from,
Yeah. Like
kind of, but
alcohol
I
is called
think,
spirits.
all right,
Well,
let be
yeah.
a spirit. It's some in a way an entity. So I
Yeah.
could feel, for example, at one point, my right part of the body started shaking, and I started feeling that I was releasing that alcohol from my body. Like,
Mhm.
literally, I don't drink at all. I'm not curious about it. I was drinking a lot before, and now I'm just completely fine. For the last few years, I'm fully sober. And I could feel that my whole family also was carrying like generations this alcohol addiction. And I've had some death in my family from alcohol, and all kinds of different, like, negative experiences, sad experiences related to alcohol and violence and things like that. So I felt I was releasing that. Another thing that we didn't talk about, the Kundalini activation practices. And
Yeah.
on
I
my
want to get into
ayahuasca
that for sure.
ceremony, I, for the first time, felt that energy. I didn't even know about this practice before. Afterwards, I've seen the videos, people like guiding the Kundalini process, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually experienced this on my ayahuasca ceremony when I started just feeling energy in my body, and my hands started doing different mudras and different like dance, I would say, and I
Yeah.
started feeling energies of people, and my body was just moving. I couldn't control it, and afterwards, that's exactly what I'm doing right now when I guide an energy healing work. Right, my body starts moving. It's almost like a channeling, and that's all also open up for me in ayahuasca ceremony. I just didn't know what is that before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I was
yeah.
gonna say,
Go ahead.
can you dive in a little to like what Kundalini is and like just describe that in a little more detail?
So when we hear a word Kundalini, a lot of people from yoga tradition uh, judge these kind of things like Kundalini activation, because they think it's more of there's a Kundalini awakening. It's a lifelong process. It cannot be activated by somebody. It's a whole, like, people are doing a lot of practices and sadhana to get there. That's where the energy raises up to this, up from the spine, from the root to up. And that's where the people called when it like enlightenment when it raises, right? But the Kundalini activation practice, it's a completely different thing. It's an energy transmission practice. It's a healing practice where the facilitator is channeling the energy and helping the other person to connect with their own life force. And depending on the level of readiness, there's certain things that may happen in the body. Some people may feel suppressed material coming out. They can cry. They may feel pleasure. They may laugh, like the same in breathwork, similar thing. They may experience some emotional release. Some people are experiencing more of like a very rested place, almost like they're like a stone, especially are people who are in a lot of like doing and hustling and things like that. They feel like a stone, right? Could happen that, right? So the energy is moving. Some people experiencing almost like electromagnetic kind of electric, like little shock, or how to call it? I'm not sure how to say that in English, like waves of energy or wave of like waves of electricity, especially when I work in person. If I touch, people sometimes feel it in the specific parts of the body. Online, it also works perfectly. I guide sessions online. So it's all for an alignment of the energy, for harmony. A lot of people feel a lot more peaceful afterwards, sleep better, just a lot more clear. So these are, I would say, common effects. Some people experiencing waves of energy moving from within. Like my teacher says, she calls this practice like a yoga in reverse. When you do a yoga like asanas, you do specific movement to move the energy in a specific way. And in this process is purely receptive practice where you don't do like literally anything. You don't breathe in a specific way. You don't do anything. You just lay down and you receive. And the energy starts moving. And it's almost like the energy is guiding the experience, and then you can end up in a different asanas, like in yoga. I've had that experience. So it's like a yoga in reverse in a way. That's how my teacher shared with me, and I really like that expression.
Yeah. So is that more like Reiki or?
No.
Okay.
No, I honestly have never done Reiki, so I don't know. But this is not Reiki.
Okay.
It's just a different modality. Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had this experience once. Have you ever been to a place that has like vibrational beds and they do like light therapy, or like there'll be like light on your third eye? There's this place in Boulder, Colorado, where it's called the Light Lounge. And I had this experience once. I'm laying on this bed and it's like vibrating at these certain frequencies, right? And there's like this light that is like pulsing. You know, it's right above your third eye, and it's, you know, going at different frequencies as well. And you have these headphones on where, you know, they're putting different, you know, harmonic frequencies through your ear. And I'm laying on this bed, I'm having an amazing experience. And I had this where it felt like a saw, almost like this big spiral go all the way from the bottom of my spine all the way up through my head. And so when I was done, I said to the practitioner, I was like, man, you know, and he's a friend of mine now who owns this place. I was like, that's really wild what this bed did, you know? And he's like, no, bro, that was you. The bed was just stationary. And I was like, what? So, you know, I guess I just tell that story because, you know, that's something I can relate to what you're describing. And it's wild, the energy that we can feel within from simple things. Like I wasn't doing anything other than breathing normally and just laying, having a blissful experience. And then here I feel this wild amount of energy spiraling up my spine and out. So, I'm sure these are similar things to what you hear people talk about, you know, all the time from the work that you're doing. But so would that have been like Kundalini? Is that what that is? Was that a Kundalini experience?
I mean, I cannot say for sure what exactly you experienced.
Right.
But it could be that, yes, it could be Kundalini energy, that your life force moving through your body. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I've seen people having a different experience. I've seen people just moving uncontrollably, their hands going to a dance, or they just feel like shaking or experiencing different kind of movement that is uncontrollable. That's not something you do. Also, there's sometimes what I see is like, you can't really repeat it like
Yeah.
consciously. I don't think so you can even repeat that, because the
No.
shakes or the different experience or like the mudras, they don't even remember what was that.
Mm,
But our body remembers everything.
mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
always, like, one of my values, I would say, I always say, I really trust the energy body, like your body, the body in front of me when I work with a person. Of course, I give some basic things, explain things, but I'm also looking at that as like a bigger picture. And I come into the sessions with this big trust that the person will receive exactly what he needs to receive. And it could be waves of energy and all these spirals and things like that. It could be he just falls asleep and have a
Mm,
deep, deep relaxation, because maybe that's what exactly needed in the moment.
mm,
Not like an exorcism style experiences. It's unnecessary. And more than that, since I also sat with many plant medicines and breath work, and I've had so many intense ceremonies in my life. And this modality is actually the opposite. I always say, like, this modality teaches you that healing actually can be very gentle, and it can be without too much of an effort.
mm.
It can happen without too much of an effort.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be hard, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like do you still personally, I mean, you're guiding people through these, often now, but do you still personally have experiences that you would say are more intense? Or most of your personal experiences at this point, have you come to a spot where you feel like you're in such a balanced state that your own personal experiences aren't intense anymore?
Are there still intense?
Okay.
I would say the difference is how I am willing to surrender to that intensity and let go of control and just accept. And also, if we're talking about like breathwork sessions, I remember the first sessions, I experienced a lot of physical pain, a lot of physical sensations. There's like tetany, there's things when you start, like some parts of the body can get numb or pain. I
Mm,
don't have any of that anymore. And I believe that the more emotional hygiene you do, the more you liberate your body, the more layers you cleanse, the less you're going to have that. And the more you're going to have like an expansion. Right now, when I do breath work, I still do it myself. I just feel a lot of expansion. I feel my power. I feel I have insights about my future. I see my purpose. Like the experience is more of not like a healing trauma, crying, but more of like, what can I create? Maybe manifest,
mm,
how else I can expand, or some insight about my work or about something that I don't see, things like that, but not any more painful stuff. Like, I don't experience painful stuff right now with breath work.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, well, what do you feel like the next stages are for you with your work and the things that you're doing? Like, where is your path leading you?
I feel I am on the 2025th in December, decided to set an intention for 2026. And I felt that I want to find my voice. And that's exactly what I already feel I am doing. And
Yeah.
actually, being in this podcast is part of it. And I really see the expansion of Breath Academy. So the more women can actually, the women who feel the calling, the inner calling to be at service, and they don't have to be a psychologist, coaches, or have a degree in something. The most important is that they feel that inner calling to be at service and to really support like transformation for others. If I feel that passion, that's all I need. So I see the expansion of Breath Academy. So more women, I work with men too, just more like on one-on-one containers, but I see more facilitators stepping into their power, into their medicines and sharing their gifts, because I believe everybody has their own unique gift. And when I teach something, I always say, I give you the basic, like, like I give you this thread, a basic thread, and then you put on it whatever you want and you make it your unique thing, right? Your unique practice with your
Yeah.
unique voice, with your unique medicine. So I think I see that expansion of Breath Academy, and also expansion of these Kundalini activation sessions, because I see that a lot of people misunderstand this practice. A lot of people are afraid of this practice because they think it's Kundalini awakening, something different. It's something like rough, and people end up in the hospital, and it's a completely different thing. That's not what I teach, and there's a lot of misunderstanding because the words are similar, like Kundalini activation, and a lot of people are misunderstanding. So I also see myself sharing more knowledge about that, sharing more experiences, more, I would say, showing the beauty of this modality. And it's truly beautiful. And it will also change my life in a many ways. Yeah. So I would say that. And also, as I said at the beginning, expanding in terms of visibility. My Instagram started growing recently, and just my goal is also to show up more, to share more, to just share my voice, to share my medicine, and just expand in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I.
Well, that's wonderful. I think, for me, it's always if I feel passionate about something and you feel that within and it makes you smile and it makes you feel happy, like that means you're going in the right direction.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be complicated. Like we don't have to have these extravagant plans and think that we have to hit, certain milestones even or whatever. It's just when you wake up today, does it fill you with joy to be moving in direction and doing the things that you're doing? And if the answer to that is yes, then keep doing that. um,
100%.
yeah. And so, I mean, I love that. It seems like that's kind of like your mission of what you're trying to help people get to. I mean, through these practices is to find what their joy is, to find what
Hmm.
they love, to find that within themselves.
Come back to their natural state of being, which is peace, which is
Yeah.
vitality, which is joy. Because this is not something we need to achieve. It's actually, we were born like that. It's something we are forgetting. It's something we're missing or whatever, losing sometimes. But like through these practices, I feel those are the pathways, I would say, that I found for myself very useful and beneficial and very healing. And that's what I am providing, I would say, those experiences for others. Because I had this client, she came to me with sciatic pain, and she said she couldn't heal it for 3 years. And she tried therapy, she tried acupuncture, different like physio and all kinds of things, and osteopathy and stuff like that. And she came to me and she said, "You're my last chance." I was like, "I see that you work with like emotions and stuff like that. I don't really believe in that shit, but let's do it. Here's my money."
Yeah.
And after the fourth session, she sent me a message crying, saying that she walks in the park and she doesn't feel pain anymore. And I still cannot say what exactly helped her, because we talk about boundaries. We talk about releasing anger, suppressed anger. I work with the body a little bit. And she was on the sessions, she was mostly falling asleep. There was nothing like exorcism style experiences. It was very peaceful. And then suddenly there's no pain anymore. Like I
Yeah.
see this all the time, and that fulfills me so much when I hear people saying these kind of things. Like, I don't know what can be better. I'm not a mother yet. Maybe like giving a birth and having a child would be even better. But so far, this is the best thing that I experienced in my life. And that's what really fuels me to do more of that, to expand so more people can feel it, more people can experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's wonderful. I had this experience once where so I live in Colorado. I'm a huge skier, right? Like last year
Mm.
I got 30 days in skiing and prior to skiing I snowboarded. So actually the last time I was on a snowboard, I've only skied since this, but I had a really bad crash and I tore my rotator cuff. And I never went to the doctor or anything. I just was dealing with the pain for a year or two. And I had a friend who I had met, and she does like craniosacral work. And she was like, "Will, come to my house. Let's do a session." I went, we did this session, and I mean, like you lose track of time and stuff like this, but I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe whatever. And she's touching like certain place on my head and just holding for long periods of time. And almost at the very end of the session, my shoulder just started twitching like violently. And I got up out of that session and my shoulder has never hurt since, and that was 7, 8 years ago. And so, I mean, it just goes to like what you're saying. through, there's very simple practices and stuff. Like I would never, like who would have thought
Right?
12-year-old me would have never imagined that something like that was possible. But here we are. And I have my own firsthand experience to share that stuff like that can really heal you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
This is
Do
very
you,
beautiful.
uh, do you have any other like good stories of instances like that? You talked about the one with the
Well, so
sciatic, but
many, so many. I have like thousands of testimonials. I don't know, on my page, if you go on my IG, like highlights, I have many, many testimonials. And that's like, I remember somebody said, my ex-husband, he said, when I was doubting myself, everybody's going through this kind of doubting, oh, maybe it's not something I want to do, whatever. And he was always saying, like, check your testimonials. And every time I check, I was like, oh no, I'm doing exactly what I need to do. It's all perfect. I'm good. I'm good.
yeah.
Yeah, I have so many stories, like physical healing. I have many stories, even like from one session, releasing just tension from the shoulders or from the chest, tightness in the chest, like released, feeling lightness. I have some stories of healing some traumas, like releasing some even birth trauma or trauma related to like childhood, different situations. People forget that, like they don't remember, there's not such a thing in their memories, but because we access a deep layers of subconsciousness, our body starts showing things. If it's ready, again, like some bodies are not ready, they need more time. That's why I usually don't work like one-off session. It's like mentorships or starting from 3 months. So I've seen also healing. I've heard some healing of feminine side of women. For example, I don't know why, but I noticed that I am attracting women that are very connected to their masculine side and a little disconnected from the feminine side. And that's their main intention, maybe to actually soften, to have more compassion, to love themselves more, to accept themselves more and stuff like that. So I've seen also beautiful transformation through breath work about this, for example, or like releasing fears of self-expression, or gaining more clarity on what is the direction I'm walking towards. Or, for example, there were some women, and just happened recently also, another woman, she came to me for a private work to work on herself. And in the middle, she realized that she's ready to be at service. She's like, I want to learn that modality. And now we're switching
Yeah.
today. We actually, right before this call, we had a first session when we opened up a space like for Breath Academy teacher training. So now she's becoming a facilitator. But when we connected, she's like, no, that's not what I want to do. Like, and through her own healing, that's how I also understood that I want to help people. One day I woke up after the ayahuasca ceremony and I'm like, holy shit, I don't have insomnia. I don't have constipation anymore. I don't have anxiety. I don't have an eating disorder. I don't have an alcohol addiction. Oh my God, I want more people to have the same. I want more people to heal. That's how it all starts. We first heal ourselves. We see how beautiful it is, how life is a lot more beautiful and a lot more enjoyable. And then we want to help others.
Yeah.
So I've seen these kind of things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
People
amazing.
stepping into their purpose, into something more fulfilling, not just like some people are working corporate and then deciding to also start doing some like work, like in terms of like service or supporting others, or like women circles and things like that that are more of like fulfilling and gives them more joy in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it's like one thing I often say, and I tell people that I'm talking with is if you're not already whole yourself and you're not doing the work to be complete as you can't give yourself fully to others. Like you can't help other people in your greatest capacity if you're not already doing the work to be the best that you can be before that, because otherwise you're giving from a place of lack. You're giving from a place of incompleteness versus sharing and aiding and guiding from a place of wholeness. I just think so much with like abundance, and whether it be financially or in our relationships or any of the verticals of which we want to be abundant, it's being able to be whole and complete and have abundance ourselves first is the only way we can really help and guide other people to get there too. Um,
And I also believe that you don't have to be perfect to start doing that.
no,
Because that's
yeah,
one of the biggest things that holding people back is that, oh my God, I'm not ready yet because of this. And yes, of course, it's important to do your own healing, to work on yourself, to do the emotional hygiene, to do therapy and all these things is beautiful. But there will be no moment when you feel fully healed.
Yeah.
That's a whole path, right? I
Yeah.
myself right now know that there's some shit to work on that I need to work on myself, right? And that's completely fine. Like if I say I'm enlightened, like it would be not true.
Yeah.
Not today. So I also teach that because it's important that like we feel the call, we do the action on that call. If we feel the call that we want to support people, there's always a ways we can do that. There are always ways we can start doing that, start fulfilling that inner calling. And then we
Yeah.
learn on the way. We don't learn like sitting here. We learn by practicing, putting ourselves out there, going to the discomfort and actually doing the thing, right? And then we
Yeah.
build more confidence and build more knowledge and learn. And yeah, that's how
Yeah. Well, it's like the most successful people, the people that have had the most successes in life have also had the most failures because they've tried the most.
I love
So
that.
yeah, there's no way, there's no destination to this. It's just, the destination is the journey. It is
Yeah,
just
I love
loving
that.
the path. Yeah. And trying and not judging yourself when you do mess up. So yeah, I mean, like you said, this is your first podcast and I'll say
Yeah,
you're doing fantastic, Anastasia. You're doing awesome.
thank you. You're
You know,
asking great questions too.
well,
I appreciate it.
podcasting and asking questions is like my passion. I
Yeah.
moderate a lot of panels and honestly, like moderating is my favorite. A lot I'm asked to speak and do stuff like that often as well, but I love being in the position to, you know, talk to people and ask questions of others because I don't learn anything from saying the stuff I already know. The only way I can learn and grow is by talking to people like you and talking to other experts in other fields and other areas and getting to pick their brains and ask questions. And I'm a genuinely curious person, so that helps with having questions to ask. One question I want to ask, I want to jump back in just briefly to the plant medicine, the ayahuasca, because I'll just share. So personally, and from my conversations with other people, that I've done either ceremony with or that I've talked to that have done it, this seems to be somewhat rare, but I do not have like visual like experiences. Like I'll only like feel things, I'll have knowings, like I'll have, lots of thoughts and like conversations and I'll have people that I know or people that I don't even know have come to me and like talk to me, but it's like I don't see like the way that you see things with your eyes. But then I'll have a lot of people tell me like, "Oh yeah, I saw these visions and I saw these things." And so I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that? Like when you've had these, do you have visions like where you actually see things, or have you heard of other people like me that don't? Like what's
Definitely. And as I said before, I trust to the body when I work with somebody, but I also trust to the plant medicine. I trust to ayahuasca, and I know that this medicine is working with you in the exact way that you need. And it speaks your language and it speaks in the way that you need. And if it doesn't include visions, it's completely fine. Like the visions, it's not the goal.
right?
The visions is not the goal. Some people are seeing more things, some people feeling more things, some people experiencing more of like conversation style things. The idea is that you trust the process, that you go into these ceremonies with full surrender. And I love this mantra, thank you, thank you, thank you. So whatever is happening to you, if it's intense, painful, joyful, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what helped me. That's what helped a lot of people who came on my retreats. And our shaman, the Taita from the jungle that serves the medicine, he doesn't speak much. He always say that medicine is going to teach you. So he's not interpreting, oh, this means because of this means because of that. He always say, you drink the medicine and the medicine is going to teach you. Trust that you are receiving exactly what you need to receive. And maybe it's not what you want, but
That's
what you
true.
need.
It's what you need, not what you want. That's
Exactly.
that is often the case in life in general, not even just,
Yep.
plant ceremonies. You get what you need, not necessarily what you want, because divine God is going to direct you in the path of what's going to be best for you, even though we don't always necessarily know what that is. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
Well, this has been a
Mm.
great conversation, Anastasia. I really
Yeah,
appreciate,
indeed.
talking to you. We're going on almost an hour here, so I'm sure I could ask you another hour's worth of questions, no problem. But yeah, I mean, do you have any, thoughts that come to you that you'd like to close with? And
Thoughts. I would say wherever you are in the journey, whoever is listening to this podcast or watching it, I think trusting the process it's a very important thing. And I found for myself is that when we actually trust that everything that is happening to us in this moment is exactly what we need to experience, and that maybe in the moment we don't understand why is this so painful or why is this happening to me. I always find afterwards why. And I think if we remember that, it just makes life so much easier. And the second thing is do emotional hygiene.
yeah,
Be a safe person to be around. Be that peaceful person that is walking in this earth and helping with this, how to say, helping with his states of being, which is peaceful, to other people feel also peace and to learn peace, because peace starts from within, not from somewhere else. I'd
yeah,
say that too.
yeah. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell for everybody that listens to this, tell us where we can find you and, the best way to find your work and maybe even connect with your like online breathwork sessions.
Yeah, I'm on IG, Instagram, Anastasia Tumanova. That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. All right.
Now
Perfect.
I'm also in this podcast.
Yeah.
You can find me probably on Will Carr is the right
Yeah.
pronunciation.
Will Carr. Yeah.
Page, Will Carr page, Instagram, or whatever you
Will
want to put this, maybe
Will Carr
YouTube.
speaks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Will Carr speaks.
Yeah. I'll definitely make sure to include your Instagram in the description, in the show notes. And yeah, until next time, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. I'm Will Carr, and I'm here to fire you up.